Welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast with Heather, John, and Crystal, where we help you with your professional and personal growth, helping you say yes to all the scary stuff. Hey, Heather. Hey, Crystal. How are you?
We
Hi,
are amazing. It's so good to
awesome.
be on here together with both of you. I can't wait to get started, and happy Friday to all our listeners out there. Crystal, we are both so happy to have you on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Tell us, we love Fridays because we
Yeah.
celebrate our successes for the week. And for all of our listeners out there, we also celebrate you. So please, we love to hear the comments of what you're celebrating, a win for the week, someone that you met, something that happened that you said yes to that just created an amazing week. Crystal, tell us what you're celebrating today.
Well, what I am celebrating today is that I am at the record phase of my digital course, which is on the foundations of meditation. Boy, it took me a
Ooh,
while to get here because I
yes.
had to, get my energy around even writing this course. But now I'm at the record phase. I actually have the material and I have the slides done. So
Oh,
this is getting more real. I love it.
I love that, getting more real, Crystal, because I don't know if people understand the work and the mindset and the
Mhm.
energy that goes in, especially when you pour love into a course that you want to give out to the world. So if you're already at that stage, wow, you've gone through all kinds of transformations already. So congratulations on that. John, what are you celebrating this week?
Great question. So there's a couple of different things I'm celebrating. One is I'll be close to the ocean in just 12 hours or so, and I'm also celebrating this. Right. So so
Mm.
this week I've been really putting some work into what we've been doing with the podcast and celebrating the fact that we are launching our speaker series on October the 3rd and putting material around that and sharing that out with the world. It's just actually, what you might not know, Heather, you spoke on another stage that I used to host 5 years ago. And actually, it was September the 17th that you spoke on that stage. And
Wow,
I'm
time
so happy
flies.
that we've come like full circle 5 years later. Because the thing is, so when you say yes, you never know what's going to show up. And here's what I've realized by saying yes, so many amazing, beautiful things have shown up. And the truth
Mm-hmm.
is, 5 years ago, I don't know when we met. I keep forgetting. I don't know if it was like 6, 7, 8, 9, like something like that, number of years ago. But it is, here we are, right?
Here
So,
we
the
are.
relation, we talk about this quite a bit, right? We talk about relationships, we talk about connections that we make with people, and then we never really
Mm.
know where it's going to lead, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a beautiful thing. And actually, I just want to take a quick second. Helen, thank you. Celebrating 26 year anniversary with my husband, Alex. Wow.
Oh,
That is
That's
amazing,
beautiful.
fantastic.
Helen.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Heather, what are you celebrating this week?
Oh, you know what? I had an amazing evening last night. So I was actually at a charity event for a gentleman by the name of Ian Urbina. He runs a organization called the Ocean Outlaw, and he actually travels around the world doing documentaries to bring to light all of the problems that happen out on the ocean. And they're pretty incredible stories. But when you are aware of what's happening, you can do something about it. And so there was a group of entrepreneurs that came together and raised some money for this gentleman to keep doing the amazing work that he does. The ocean is our lifeline, and we use it for all kinds of transportation and to get around the world. But if the ocean dies, the world dies. And I don't mean to be doomsday, but I actually am celebrating the fact that there are people in this world that are dedicating their entire lives to making sure that our planet is ready for the next generation and the next generation. But it takes a group effort. And, just hearing these stories are so inspiring to me. And John, you're going to go jump in the ocean. And I know as you jump in the ocean, you're going to be thinking about, wow, this body of water keeps the entire planet alive. And it reminds me that we all have a responsibility to be good corporate citizens and do our best for the human that's beside us, and for the entire world. So it was really, really inspiring and enlightening. And I celebrate all the people that came together at that event last night. So pretty awesome. And I'm also celebrating that we've got so much work done towards our October 3rd, speaking of where the Say Yes story is going to be shared. So Crystal, you are going to be one of our speakers, and we are so excited to hear your Say Yes story, because we know the power of saying yes and the transformation that goes into that. And we don't want any spoiler alerts, but we do want to hear about you and sort of what's part of your journey are you going to talk about at our event?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a part of my life that is so near and dear to me, which is relating to my daughter. My daughter's 3 years old now, and it's a story about how sometimes you are, no, actually a lot of times, you are giving scenarios and situations that is totally out of your control. And it's the quality of your yes that is so important of how you're going to get through it. I didn't have the option to say no, but I do have the option of how much I'm going to lean into my yes and make it work. So that's a little bit about what I'll be sharing.
Oh, that's like truth bombs already just dropped.
I want to lean more into the yes. I love it. Leaning into the yes. And I never thought of it, the quality of your yes. Right? Like, how special is that? And how many times do we think about the quality of our yeses? But it's funny. I love that you said that, right? Lean into your yes. I think about the intention that you put into your yes.
Yeah.
Are you putting a yes in there just to get it done? Or are you putting a yes because it's going to lead to something better?
Right. Exactly. Right. And when you decide to really lean into your yes, like the opportunities that arise because your eyes are more open. I could have been in a situation where it's like, oh, this is a situation and doom and gloom. But it's like, this is the situation and we're going to make the best of it. And we're going to get behind what's happening right here. And I'm going to figure out how we're going to make this better for both of us. And we're going to educate people along the way. And we're going to let people know what's happening. Zyler is my daughter's name. And we are going to have people really embrace the situation that's at hand and help both of us. Because when you have a good quality yes, people are like, how can I help? How can I help? Right?
Wow. Crystal, there's two things that I'm pulling out of that, which is, I think, the formula or the recipe for a quality of your yes is, are you doing it because out of love? Is there love involved? And of course, because your daughter is there's love. But then I hear you not just narrow in on you and your daughter, but how can we educate the whole world and be of service and bring information, bring knowledge? My eyes are open. So how do I open it up to the whole world? And that's another part of the recipe of a good quality yes. And wow, as I think about the things that I've said yes to, and maybe they weren't as strong as I would have liked them, I'm wondering, were they missing one of those components? That's a formula for success, Crystal, that you didn't even know you were following, but oh my goodness, that is fantastic. Crystal, what else do you want to say to us? Because these messages are just truth bombs coming out on a Friday, and I'm loving every one of them.
The other thing that I wanted to share around the quality of your yes is that it opens up for you to actually turn your attention inwards. Turn your attention inwards and to be listening and feeling your internal guidance, your intuition, your GPS system, because there's a lot, actually, everything that we need resides within us. And so when you are really open and you really have that quality yes, you're able to hear, feel, and just intuitively do certain things and go in certain directions because of just the energy that you have around the yes. So there's a lot of things, a lot of it comes from inside as well.
Wow.
So that's the other thing I want to add. I think that's the biggest component, is how you're going to how you turn your attention inwards and just listen after you decide to lean into that yes.
Wow. Actually, you know, what's coming to mind as you're saying that is the story of the lady who was in her 60s or 70s, who there was a car that I think ran over one of her grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And she found the strength to lift the car so he could get out from under it.
Mm.
I don't know, like I can't remember the precise details of the stories, but all I know is this lady in her 70s lifted a car.
Yeah.
Right? She lifted a car, and you know they wanted to interview her for the interview, like to do an interview to say, wow, you know, what an amazing feat, you know, how did you do that? She's like, I just, you know, like you said, when you lean into that yes, you lean into that moment, you find that strength, you find that that resilience, you find a power that you didn't even know you had.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like even though there's no way, and you got this big wall in front of you, you smash right through it, and you're like, I'm gonna get it done no matter what. Nothing's stopping me. I'm just gonna go. You know, and what she said at the, you know, they wanted to interview her, and she's like, no, 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 no. And they're like, why don't you want to be interviewed? She goes, well, if I could do this, what else could I have done in my life?
Ooh.
Right?
Wow.
And how many, yeah, and
That's
how many
powerful.
times do we sit in the know, right? Not realizing what we're giving up in the process. And I know all three of us, you know, on this call, we've said yes to things we had no clue on how to do. We had no idea on how we were going to do it, but we found that internal strength, right?
So we found the internal strength. And I also realized, John, that when resistance is showing up, or, you know, this fear or these butterflies in my belly, that's probably a moment where I really have to sit in and listen, not to the words that my head are saying, which is no, 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 but the words or the communication process of my body that's saying, girlfriend, there's something on the other side. You better go look over there because you're missing out on something that's pretty spectacular. Or I feel out of control and not able to control the situation, and my need for control, I'm trying to meet it, and that the resistance is coming. So, you know, if any one of our listeners is out there having a moment like that, this is that moment that, you know, it's time to just take some deep breaths. It's time to get closer to the energy source that is your powerful source, and know that this is here for a reason, and you're going to come out on the other side stronger than you ever have been before. But you don't know that yet, but your future self does. And so we're talking to your future self right now, that future version of you that's already made some pretty amazing choices in life, so that you have no regrets. You don't want to be the grandma that thought, wow, if I could lift a car, what else did I miss out on?
Done. You know, Heather, you said something pretty profound. Just step back, take a breath, and just almost like breathe through it. And that's actually what helped me. That is how that was the tool that I used to turn my to turn my attention inwards. As you can see, I'm a meditation and mindfulness coach, but I didn't realize how powerful that tool was at that time. I always had a meditation practice for many, many years. But then I said, I actually do have this tool. I've had this tool all this time. Now I'm going to channel it differently, not just to get into the hot room, and it started through a hot yoga flow, not just to get into the hot room and exercise and so forth, but it's to get into a space of clarity, connection, and just embracing what is coming up for me. And when I decided and I realized that, like, so much creativity came out of this situation that many people could have looked at as doom and gloom, right?
Wow.
So thank you for bringing up the breathing, because that is so important.
Yeah, well, and people think breathing, but I do that all the time. Like, wow. And what we're talking about is with intention. Yes, completely different. And, you know, using parts of your body that don't get activated, right? Your entire diaphragm, bringing all the oxygen in, depleting it all, letting it all come out, and those really deep breaths. And this, reminds your body that it stays alive because of the oxygen. So, your body knows how to do all of the things it needs to do. But when you deplete it of oxygen by holding deep breaths and then blowing it all out, what it does is it's almost a pattern interrupt for your body, and the pattern interrupt for your body and your mind allow it to go, okay, wait a minute, is there another solution that I can find very quickly? And so these breathing exercises do all kinds of things, both internally to our body and to our mind, which is really, really incredible. And, there's all kinds of different practices out there. And what we're suggesting is explore one of those breathing practices. And, you can watch videos, you can just jump on YouTube and do some breathing exercise. All of your podcast type of soundtracks also do breathing exercises. So if you're wondering, I don't know how to do a breathing exercise, it is out there available to you. And, me and John, we try all kinds of different breathing exercises. We were doing dragon breaths a few months ago, which
fire
was
breath.
fantastic. Fire breath.
Yeah.
Well, now, Crystal, what is your favorite breath? Like, what's your favorite style of breath? You're the expert on this. You've been teaching people this. You've been teaching people how to, and I'm already, I don't know about you, Heather, but I'm feeling a sense of calm.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Just with the energy that's on this call, right? So I'd love to get your favorite, breath work that you love to do, Crystal.
So there is two. There's one that they refer to as the oceanic breathing, where you're literally just, it sounds like the ocean, and you breathe out as long as you can with the ocean, and you flow with that oceanic breathing. And then the other one that I love is the box breathing, where you breathe, you inhale for 3, and then you hold at the top, exhale for a little bit longer, and then, you start that pattern over again. And so sometimes I find the box breathing is very good for me to bring a heightened sense of alertness and awareness for me. And I find the oceanic breathing is good for me to just know that I'm safe. Because when you are intentional about your breathing, it literally triggers something in your brain to say you are safe. It's the parasympathetic nervous system that's triggered, and it's letting that nervous system know you are safe. And so that's the best thing to do when you're in any sort of situation that you're not sure what to do next. Just breathe, and you're letting yourself and your body know that you're safe.
Yeah.
Wow. Crystal, I'm hearing your message, just breathe, and then the ocean, and immediately this vision came into my head when I went shark diving, and they put us at the bottom of the ocean, and it was my first dive as a certified diver, and they make you straddle a rock, and then the sharks come and they feed them. And so they whiz by your head and they say, don't reach out, don't move your hands, because then you're food. And if you fall over, don't try to get up. We'll come and pick you up. And all I said in my head, because it was one of those scary moments where I'm like, what am I doing here? And all I said to myself is just breathe. Breathe. And that safety, it didn't come till I was out of the ocean again, but I was able to get through a really scary moment. And I actually was able to see the beauty of where I was in the world and how powerful these sharks were and how crazy my adrenaline rush need was. But I needed to breathe because obviously you're underwater. And so I actually started to watch the bubbles go up, and that meditation of just taking a deep breath and watching the bubbles go up, I think are very symbolic of that moment for me. And maybe I'll post the picture, because I have a picture of one of the sharks and me making eye contact, and it honestly looks photoshopped because it looks so ridiculous, but it's fantastic. So sometimes we have to feel like we're in danger in order to show ourselves that we actually are our own superhero.
Yes. Wow, that is so real, Heather. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so amazing to see folks on the stream. It's so nice to meet you as well, Felicia and Heather and Helen again. Happy anniversary. It's awesome.
This is crazy. I'm thinking the Shark Tank. Talk about putting yourself in the Shark Tank, putting yourself in imminent danger. Why not? Let's do it. But it's what we say yes to leads to great stories. It leads to great connections, and it leads to just like I'm feeling like the one thing I love about what we do here is sometimes we say something that activates something in us. And actually, you sharing that, Heather, activated like, yeah, you know what, those moments, well, even though you put yourself in your own danger, that's cool. But for those of us that get into those moments, when we know that, and Crystal, part of your story that you're going to be sharing on the 3rd is going to be about that too, is, in those moments, you have the ability to take control.
Yeah.
Right? You have that ability to just breathe into it and say, wait a minute, let's just, let's look at what's happening in this situation right now.
In this situation. Perfect.
That's it, right? Like what's in this moment that I can control? And when you can control the moment, and that's all it is. Life is a series of moments, whether you're in the ocean feeding sharks, you're dealing with your daughter's situation that you're going to be sharing with us on the 3rd. Or you're climbing a hill in Victoria, BC, because you're doing an Ironman. Like, it's just, that's all it is. It's just a moment.
It's just a moment.
And taking control of that moment. Yeah.
So, John, I think the call to action is super clear to me. Let's make sure that everyone's in the moment at some point this weekend and practice your breathing. It may be as simple as 5 deep breaths, like really deep breaths. It may be, this oceanic breathing technique. It may be the box technique. And you can just go and YouTube these concepts and follow along. So don't feel that you're alone in this. And then let us know how those breathing techniques go. But as you're doing these breathing techniques, think of a yes, something that scared you just a little bit, and lean into it a little bit more when you do those breaths. And that will improve the quality of your yes and get you a little bit closer to saying yes to your own superpowers coming to fruition. Wow, 20 minutes goes by so quickly. Crystal, I am so thankful for having you on today. John, we've got some special announcements for our staff, for our team, for our listeners. My God, I'm going into a classroom setting. Can you tell that next? I'll hand it over to you, John.
Yeah, no, excellent. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for sharing your message, sharing your breath. And, I'm already seeing it in the comments. They're inspired. Somebody's saying perfect timing for this message too. So like, it's in the moment, right? Like, that's what I love about this. So thank you for being here with us. If you want to see Crystal share her talk, her speech on October the 3rd, there's going to be a link that's already included in the description of this podcast, so you can follow the link there. And there's an Apple Watch breathing app too. Okay, so yes, there's a link to the event. Grab your ticket. I am so excited to have you on our stage and sharing your story. I know it's going to be inspiring. If you found this inspiring, which I know you have already, imagine what it's going to be like in person. So contact, making that connection, just connecting with people. So grab your ticket, October the 3rd, 6:30 p.m. at the Staples Studio in Toronto, Ontario. We'd love to see you there in person. Just remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Wishing you all a great one. We'll see you all next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye.